stars. And I can see God working in this period in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same. We want to be free. And I'm just happy that he's allowed me to be here with you in Memphis to see what is unfolding. Men for years have been talking about it. But no longer can they just talk about it. For years they've been trying to grapple with this problem. But the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival demands that we grapple with it today. Men for years have been talking about war and peace. Well, no longer can they just talk about it. No longer is the question violence or non-violence in this world. It's non-violence or non-existence. That is where we are today. Yeah. And I'm just happy to see the great movement here. I can remember the first time that I was in New York City. I was autographing the first book that I had written. And a woman came up to me and asked, "Are you Martin Luther King?" I was looking down writing and I said yes. The next thing I felt was something beating on my chest. And I had been stabbed by this demented woman. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital, and the x-rays revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And once that's punctured, that's the end of you. You drown in your own blood. Later that week, after the surgery and the blade had been removed, kind letters poured in from all over. I received a letter from the president and the vice president. I've forgotten what that letter said. I received a letter from the governor and a visit. I've forgotten what that letter said. But there was one letter, and I will never forget it. It came from a little girl from White Plains High School. And it simply read, "Dear Dr. King, I am a student at the White Plains High School. And while it should not matter, I'd like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your suffering and your misfortune. And they said that if you had sneezed, you would have died. And I'm just writing to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I too am happy that I didn't sneeze. Because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960. When students all over the South began sitting in at lunch counters. And as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream. And taking this great nation back to those deep wells of democracy that were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we took a ride for freedom and ended segregation in interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when Negroes in Albany, Georgia decided to straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they're going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1963 when the great movement occurred in Selma, Alabama. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here later that year in August to try to tell America that I'd had if I had sneezed. But it really doesn't matter with me now. It really doesn't matter now. We started this morning on the plane in Atlanta. There were 6 of us. And as we boarded the plane, the pilot came on the plane and said, "We're sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane. And to make sure that everything was okay, we had the luggage checked out carefully. And to make sure that nothing would be wrong with the plane, we had it protected and guarded all night." And then we got into Memphis, and they began to say the threats, talk about the threats, about what might happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. But it really doesn't matter with me now. It doesn't matter with me now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it doesn't matter now because I've been to the mountaintop. And like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He has allowed me to go up to the mountaintop. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And so I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen